Kicking off this year, we have another Stone... Nanabe? Wait. No. Where's Stonebank? Where's Stonebank? Where's Stone? Song's dope and everything, but the artwork honestly captured my attention more. I mean, there's a lot of skyscrapers here. I'd get lost too. Summer was fun, but I'm more of a winter guy. There's Stonebank. I mean, would it have killed them to have had this as the first release of the year? I don't even love the song that much, but it's just so damn catchy. Yeah, it's a 4-minute intro track, but a dope one. I'm sorry, but the Virtual Riot remix outshines this tenfold. Banger. Just a banger. I always found these vocal chops to be super goofy. I am of the unbased opinion that I think the drops are the worst part of the song. Even though it's grown off me a ton over the years, I still love the groove of it. The Shadow Task EP from Pilot would be the last thing we would get from him on Monstercat for quite some time. And this opening track is a banger first impression. I never connected with this one, to be honest. I dig the slower tempo compared to what you'd normally hear from him. My favorite from the EP. Everyone else's favorite from the EP. You're looking a little lightheaded there, bud. I want to see a doctor about that. I'm honestly shocked the song still gets a ton of recognition nowadays. Look, great song, great music video, great everything all around. But are we serious with these running shots? Unfortunately, if you look up the term euphoria, this song does not pop up. They really need to change that. Probably the best version of this song that exists. This would unfortunately be the last time we'd see Rich Edwards on Monstercat. Definitely not the strongest send-off, but I really liked what he had put out on the label. I mean, this'll definitely rock somebody's audio. YouTube gaming intro type beat. Never had interest in this one. I'm always gonna feel like this is overrated in some capacity, but I do like it more now than I used to. There isn't much I like to give 2017 credit for, but Stonebank had some good shit during this year. I would say the video does a lot of the heavy lifting, but that would imply that I thought the song wasn't great. And that would be lying. Out of all the D&B songs we got from WRLD, I think this one's my favorite. Gammer's Monstercat debut, and don't you worry, cause we'll be seeing him a lot in this video. This song was basically the soundtrack of my 2017 school year. Oh, no thank you, I don't drink. I know I said Don't Shoot Me Down was Peak and Evo, but this one is also kinda Peak and Evo. Probably my least favorite of his breaks stuff, but this would be the last time we'd get to see him on the label for a little while. Not sure why though, he said he was gonna make like a bunch of crabs rave or something. The original but produced by Microwave. I'm a sucker for duets and this is no exception. The original but not very unappealing. The original but D&B. Probably the first Tokyo Machine song that I genuinely loved. Yet another insanely popular release from the label. Much like with Marshmallows Alone, if you've never heard of Monstercat before, you've definitely heard the song at least once or twice in your life. I've watched this video several times, and yet I never noticed the torn down Hollywood sign in the background. Mom, Toby's on his weird shit again. I understand it. They're bandits. Great song and all, but I'm actually kinda interested in the story behind the fossil and how it got there. Stonebank and ML collabs can be very 50-50 for me, and unfortunately this falls under the bottom half of that. Keizo's Monstercat debut, and even years later it's clear that he has quite an affinity for this song given how much it gets referenced in some of his future material. Listen, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure there are supposed to be heads there, right? Grant must have had serious creative juices flowing if he was able to whip this up in a day. Oh no, you heard me right. A day. Everyone on this song makes their Monstercat debut, most notably nowadays Dirty Phonics, but also Bass Nectar was a pretty big deal back then, and Raga Twins had worked with the likes of Skrillex and Liquid Stranger at the time, so yeah, this was kind of a huge release. I think this year more than any in Monstercat's history had the most amount of hardstyle, hardcore, happy hardcore, whatever material, and this one was arguably the most popular of the bunch. This was the era of Muzzy that I wasn't too fond of for the most part. I know this is a lot of people's favorite song from him, but I don't know, it just never did it for me. I know it feels like we just got him back, but this would be the last time we'd see Nanabe on the label until 2023. I'm thankful he's at least somewhat more active on the label nowadays. I bring up the fact that this is Wolfgang Gardner's only song on the label as of now because I have literally nothing else to say about it. I think the song is a victim of being a solid tune that simply came out at a bad time in music history where we would hear Moomba beats practically everywhere. We're gonna get to a remix of this that is miles better than it had any right to be, but just know that at the time this was probably one of my least favorite Pegboard nerd songs. Dumu's Monstercat debut with the immediate drop of the Illuminate EP. This opening track was a really nice way to start things off. However, this is the song that became a fan favorite among many within the community, and not only was it featured on the Best of 2017 compilation, but the EP itself became one of the most beloved Monstercat EPs in the label's history. Gorgeous, beautiful, transcendent. Love the vibes on this one. I can't hear the song without thinking of that one Flo Rida song that got super popular around this time. The worst thing about this song is that Sky-L isn't given proper credit here, so people that don't know any better think Priority 1 did the vocals. This one was never a favorite of mine. What the fuck am I looking at? Yet another debut, and if I'm being honest, I always thought this one was kinda mid. Orbiter is the collaborative alias of both 7 Minutes Dead and Stephen Walking, both bringing their sound together in a really cool and interesting way across all 3 songs for their self-titled EP. We'll get to the other 2 songs later, but this was the single they put out beforehand. RICCI really loved this more aggressive house style he had for a while. To be fair, it's pretty difficult to follow up a song like Everything Black. Zero Hero is the collaborative alias of Stonebank and Darren Styles, and for a first single, this has really interesting imagery, I'll put it that way. This honestly isn't a bad remix of what is essentially an intro track. If this ever gets a VIP in the future, kind of in the same vein that Play did, it could actually be one of the craziest Tokyo Machine songs ever. I always found this one pretty forgettable, but I understand why people like it. So the first 3 Uncaged compilations did this really interesting thing where they grouped up some of the label's mainstays to create a triple collab for each comp. And although I think this is the lesser of the 3, it's still a commendable effort. I fuck with this. Yeah, no, this is the superior version by a long shot. The original, but with vocals from Annie Yvette. I mean, cool, I guess. In defense of Gamera here, the original is already pretty great as it is. The debut of Riot on Monstercat, and despite whatever relationship they currently have with the label, they would end up making one hell of a name for themselves. It's a more tame version of the original, which is kinda saying something considering the original wasn't even that crazy. I miss this era of Conroe when he had these polygonal artworks. Also, this is just one of his best songs during this period in my opinion. Weirdly enough, out of all the Kuro songs that came out around this time, this was never really a favorite of mine. I can't even put a finger as to why, it just never clicked with me. I always liked this one from him. Also, that art goes pretty damn hard. I love the vibe of this one, although it flew under my radar a bit when it first came out, cause, you know, I was still in that phase where I didn't listen to Monstercat for like half the year. Overrated as hell, but like, it's still Grant. This felt like the perfect combination of 7 Minutes Dead and Stephen Walking to me. The both of them together here is just a match made in heaven, and I'm really sad we never got more of it. This one's also really good, and as a fan of Stephen Walking and especially 7 Minutes Dead, this EP was exactly what I needed during this era of the label, so a genuine thank you to the both of you for making this EP. This one got a lot of attention when it came out. Never understood the hype for it personally. These probably taste fucking crazy, man. So this was the first song in the very first Rocket League X Monstercat compilation, which is the closest thing we ever got to an album release in 2017. I mean, what more can I say about this other than this should have been the version that was on Dogma Resistance? Unfortunately, this was the final time we would see Tut Tut Child on the label, but they're still alive and well doing music under a handful of aliases, including Nick Kingsley, under his real name, Forrest Knott is the one that most people know, Big Shot Bo and the Swing Crusaders, Shadow Addict, Kings and Us, Yep Yeah, and even still some stuff under Tut Tut Child every now and then. Another one from the Rocket League comp, and it's one of those songs that you might hate just because of how catchy it is. As much as I love the original, this is a pretty solid remix. The original but happy hardcore-ified. The original but future bassified. The original but Fiji Ouija'd. The original but even more future bassified. The debut of Intercom, one of the most beloved artists on the label during this period, and just based off their Monstercat releases alone, for good reason. Person jumps between 2 buildings as 2 mannequins stand there for moral support. Even nowadays, it still feels weird to say Tristram has a song on Rocket League. I never understood how the song was both so catchy and yet so forgettable at the same time. The debut of powerhouse duo Slander, and even 8 years later, if you look on their Spotify popular page, Superhuman is still there. This next bunch of songs are all going to be from the Rocket League X Monstercat Volume 1 compilation, and what else can I say about this one other than World D&B Go Hard? It's insane how much older this sounds compared to some of his more recent stuff at the time. A banger for most, but this style of subtech never really clicked with me all the way. One of my favorites from the earlier Trivecta days. It serves its purpose, but I prefer the song he did for Volume 5. That's a fucking banger. I can't deny Grant has quite the ear for melody, even if I'm not into this one that much. Again, it's an earworm that you'll forget about as soon as you hear it. I don't know what it is. Probably my least favorite of the whole comp. It does nothing for me. Ah, shit, you're right, I gotta go to work. Out of all the older Conroe tracks, this one just feels the most bare bones to me. Easily my favorite from the entire comp. It's just really fun to listen to. Meh. At this point, I kinda got tired of Aerochord's style, so this one never really hit me as hard as the other ones did. This one's got a cool vibe. And to cap off the Rocket League x Monstercat Volume 1 comp, I always forgot this one even exists. It's not even bad, I just don't really think about it. This song kinda makes me wonder why we never got Spiker on the label again. There's just gonna be a common theme this year of songs other people adore but I find so-and-so. You know, I think a modern day collab between them would actually go super hard. Unironically, one of my favorite releases from 2017, and also probably my favorite Summer Was Fun song on top of that. I think the vocal really sells this one more than anything. Is it just me or does anyone else get Sonic vibes from this? That's one big ass speaker. Note to future aspiring producers, can we please stop using samples that a million other songs have already used? It doesn't enhance the energy or the mood of the track, it just cheapens the listening experience. Please and thank you. Another unexpected collab, but when you hear it, you totally understand the connection. Droptech, quite literally out of nowhere, would drop this 4-track EP and then just kinda disappear for a while. An odd move on his part, but at least this first track is kind of a banger. I used to love this song once upon a time. Title tracks are generally hit or miss, but this one's actually pretty solid. The atmosphere on this one's really dope. Even nowadays, I find this one quite nice. If it was green instead of red, Microsoft would have had a field day with this artwork. Shout out to this song for having one of the most relatable artworks in Monstercat history. Conroe's Connecting the Dots EP wasn't his best work, but it had some bangers on it. Video unrelated? Another one where the vocal kinda carries it. A lot of people forget this is DeZero's Monstercat debut. Don't worry, we'll see more of him when we get to 2019. 8 years later and I still can't stand this song. One of Stonebank's most overlooked songs. I only have a small handful of favorites from 2017, but this remix was absolutely one of them. I mean, it just fucks so much better than the original ever could. The original but electro house. The original but mid-tempo. But like, the cool note-taker mid-tempo. The original but dope as fuck. I can't lie, this melody works really well with hardstyle. The original but really atmospheric. The original but just the most future bass. It was nice to get a fun little video of some behind-the-scenes action where all three of them were either working on the song or just being goofballs. Hella, the goddess of death, sits with a cat of some sort. Circa 2017 colorized. Song goes hard? Check. Art goes even harder? Check. It's crazy to me that we still haven't had another Fox Stevenson single on Monstercat since this song, that is now 8 years old. As an avid lover of piano, this artwork really hurts to look at. This reminds me of that one We Play minigame. Y'all know the one I'm talking about. When I tell you I was obsessed with this song when it came out, I had this on pretty much every day for the next, 2 months. Out of all the songs that could have been released on my birthday in 2017, I'm glad it was this one. There's a handful of Stonebank songs from this era that I always forget exist, and this is without a doubt one of them. Anyone else remember the Razor commercial? How nice it was to hear her voice on another Monstercat song after Nevada. This might come as a surprise for most of you, but I did not like this debut release from Bad Computer. Only after future releases did I start to, well, get it. I think my hatred for the word crunk can be traced back to this song right here. Easily the most upbeat thing we've ever heard from Soup and Dre's on the label. This was one of the demos from Grabbits' 12 Days of Grabbits event during December 2016, where he dropped a bunch of IDs that led to a self-release single, In the Winter. His next Monstercat single would also be one of these IDs, and the rest of them have been stuck on YouTube ever since. There's a playlist containing all of them that I'll link down below. The Slander and Keizo collab that sounds more like slander. The first official single from Note Taker's debut Monstercat EP, which we'll get to in a moment. The original but prettier. It's kinda crazy seeing Bishu's Monstercat debut compared to what he does now. The VIP outshines this tenfold. I'm sorry, it just does. Aside from it being the Monstercat debut of EDM legend Sullivan King, it was one of the hardest drops in all of Monstercat at the time. Is it weird that I don't really hear any of the dirty audio in this song at all? A lot of people really connected with this one. Unfortunately, I am not a lot of people. The debut of Zach Waters, who would only have one other single on Monstercat, then just disappear off the face of the earth, I guess. And it's okay if what you want is a breakup. The debut of Luca is on Monstercat, and not a bad debut in the slightest. I may not have loved all the Pegboard nerd stuff around this time, but these pixel arts they had kinda go hard. Kicking off Note Taker's Genesis EP, this lovely intro piece that honestly doesn't get enough credit. Banger. A nice way to close out the EP. Another banger collab, a little dated, but still a banger nonetheless. The Slander and Keizo collab that sounds more like Keizo. Even nowadays this goes pretty hard. Damn it, someone locked Puppet in the warehouse again. You're damn right there's a whole EP full of Dirty Phonics and Sullivan King collabs. Although Navigator's never been one of my favorites. Just a chill interlude, not much else. This is the one. Always has been. I love how it starts, I hate how it drops. Nice to see that drum step wasn't completely dead. You might be wondering, man, there was a lot of Gamber this year, and I'd say, yeah. A solid collab to cap off the Monstercat Uncaged Volume 3 comp, but unfortunately this is also the last one we'd get of these collabs for these comps, which is unfortunate, but I get how hard it can be to get a bunch of people in a room to make a song together like that for every single comp. A solid debut from the then duo. Wasn't really in love with this remix either. I always thought the end of this music video implied a much darker outcome than what was probably intended. What the fuck am I looking at? This is some of the most satisfying drops I think Stonebank has ever produced. How much Gammer could you possibly Gammer? Okay, despite how much Gammer's been brought up throughout the entire video, this is genuinely and unironically one of his best songs. The debut of Infected Mushroom on Monstercat, and a pretty iconic debut at that. Goofy, awkward progression. I know I've said banger a lot throughout the video, but add this to the list. I heard Jupiter's nice this time of year. I mean, what else can I say except for Kuro being Kuro? Again, don't care for the song that much, but the artwork slaps. Puppet's Life Overseas EP was never really up my alley, but it had some really dope production behind it, including this song. Basically this EP's version of Play Pretend from his Furious Fleeting EP the year before. The debut of one of Monstercat's most beloved names, Boss Fight. I was never super into his stuff early on, but as the years went by, he grew on me a surprising amount. This was it. This masterpiece was the last single we ever got from Zach Waters, and then poof, just gone. Unless... I should mention that this was the first year where they decided to end off the year with a bunch of VIPs. With that being said, I don't think you could have started off with a worse VIP than this. On the other hand, so much better than the original. Just to make sure some of you feel old out there, when this came out, the original was only about 3 years old. Now the original is over a decade old, and this is almost 8 years old. You're welcome. That first drop goes kinda hard, I'm not gonna lie. The original, but D&B. I mean, I hate to end it like that, but I mean, come on.